Welcome to Stonewall Columbus. My name is Denzel Porteous, and I use he, they pronouns. And I'm honored to serve as Executive Director of Stonewall Columbus. As an organization that works for the LGBTQI community to be seen, we have been here for 41 years. As a reimagined community center gifted to the community, we are only 3 years old. Personal safety is something that the LGBTQI community has grappled with for lifetimes and continue to struggle with today. Violence enacted on our community, our transgender community in particular, are at a high across our country. And so our queer identities knows what it means to live in a heightened state of awareness of our personal safety. Something is happening to our ability to feel and be safe across our lived intersectional communities, and we must act. As an accountability partner to the City of Columbus, the Columbus Police Department, our city's Department of Public Safety, and most importantly, our queer and allied communities, the Stonewall organization has a responsibility to find ways to come together to make space to be able to give immediate feedback to our partners and to have the difficult conversations about the work and changes needed to ensure that we are safe in our communities, simply as residents of Columbus, and treated with dignity and respect while we are being kept safe. You can't keep me safe until you demonstrate that, to me, that I am safe. I believe the actions that the City of Columbus, in partnership with safety agencies in Columbus community, are starting to take will begin to demonstrate that there is an increased effort to ensure the safety of the Columbus community. And while I know there is great work yet to be done on how we demonstrate that safety humanely and equitably, I know first steps must be taken. With new leadership comes new vision, and I've begun to see that vision from our Chief of Police and our Director of Public Safety, both of whom came to their roles just about a year ago. And I've positively been encouraged to see how our mayor has made space for new vision and partnered with these safety leaders as they help shape the safety outcomes for our city's diverse communities. It is my pleasure to bring forward City of Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther.
Good afternoon, and Denzel, thank you for opening up Stonewall to us this afternoon to share some good news and some progress being made and some redoubling of efforts to make sure that every family in every neighborhood feels safe throughout our community. So thank you to Denzel and the team here, Councilmember Remy, our Chair of the Public Safety Committee, Director Clark, Chief Bryant, and all of her team at Columbus Police, Betsy Pandora and the Short North Alliance, and all of our neighborhood partners. We continue to work collaboratively on multiple fronts and from multiple angles to reduce violence and promote community safety across Columbus. We're doing this using a comprehensive citywide approach, and I'm pleased to join you today to share an update on some of our efforts. We're leveraging data, best practices, and community partnerships to deploy innovative strategies that disrupt the cycle of violence wherever possible, while capturing and prosecuting criminals who inflict harm or hardship on our residents. But the deadly and devastating scourge of gun violence stands apart in its size, scale, and complexity. Its damage to our community is evident in the headlines and the heartbreak we see on so many days, and its ripples will extend far into the future, down through the generations, and it must be stopped. Experience and evidence makes abundantly clear the compelling need to ban assault weapons, pass red flag laws, and implement universal background checks now. There are reasonable, common sense gun and safety measures that demand serious consideration and bipartisan support in our state legislature. Unfortunately, experience and evidence also suggests this is highly unlikely, especially in the wake of recent actions by the Ohio General Assembly to pass Stand Your Ground and permitless carry legislation. These unconscionable changes to our state's gun laws are a setback in every sense of the word and have no place in our sensible conversation regarding the safety of our officers and our residents. All these short-sighted and backward policies, all they do is make life more dangerous and unpredictable for everyone. Gun violence is a public health crisis. We will not bury our heads in the sand and pretend this issue doesn't exist or simply hope this storm will pass. If the state refuses to confront this crisis with the seriousness it deserves, then we will press on without them, and we are. Earlier this week, the Columbus Board of Health met again to discuss gun violence and its wide-ranging impacts on both individuals and communities alike. We continue to partner with the DOJ, the ATF, and regional law enforcement agencies to catch the perpetrators of gun violence and strengthen penalties and prosecution. We're also partnering with dozens of local nonprofits and human service organizations to intervene wherever we can and dismantle the conditions that give rise to violence and instability. And we continue to engage with neighbors across the community to learn more about what they're seeing and experiencing, and to craft new strategies that address their concerns and lay the foundation for a brighter future. Our approach is working. Homicides are down relative to the same time last year, and we're solving more cases more quickly. We're moving forward with a sense of urgency and purpose, but gun violence is not the only threat to community safety in Columbus. There are also the illegal and reckless operation of ATVs, dirt bikes, and motorcycles on city streets. To crack down on these criminals, we launched Operation Wheels Down to ramp up enforcement and intensify prosecution. At the same time, we continue to conduct Operation Unity, which brings together law enforcement and community partners in time-bound, geographically focused campaigns to reduce violent crime and connect residents to vital community resources. From tackling traffic violations and arresting fugitives and felons, to seizing a wide range of weapons, narcotics, cash, and other illegal assets. These operations have proven tremendously successful in promoting neighborhood safety while supporting residents afflicted by mental illness, homelessness, trauma, unemployment, addiction, and more. And then there's Operation Turn Up the Heat, which taps into the power of social media to help spread the word and catch suspects wanted for weapons, violations, arson, kidnapping, robbery, and murder. All of these programs are producing some very impressive results, and Chief Bryant will tell you more on that in just a moment. What's clear is that this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. We're creating and deploying safety strategies that address the specific concerns of individual neighborhoods. This work is collaborative, and it's comprehensive. For example, we've heard from neighbors and business owners here in the Short North and taken their concerns to heart. They've helped us assess the effects of crime and public nuisance in this area and bring new solutions to the table. As a result, we're advancing 2 ordinances to Columbus City Council designed to address noise concerns and the dangerous late-night activity that has recently occurred near mobile food vendors. The updated noise ordinance, in particular, aligns standards for residential and non-residential properties, grants the directors of public safety and building and zoning services the authority to issue abatement orders, and to increase penalties for those previously found guilty of committing violations. Meanwhile, the updated mobile food vending ordinance modifies where food trucks can set up operations, reconstitutes the mobile food vending board, and adjusts late-night evening hours during which these vendors can operate. And again, these ordinances represent recent examples and not the totality of our efforts. We're promoting safety, security, and law and order in all of our neighborhoods. I'm proud to have partnered with Columbus City Council to invest more than $7 million this summer in a series of neighborhood safety grants that support on-the-ground efforts all across the community. Upgraded street lighting, expanded youth programming, anti-violence initiatives, and more. These funds take our holistic safety strategy to the next level by providing dollars to groups and organizations doing some of the hardest and most valuable work in our neighborhoods. None of this work can be done by one entity alone. I'm happy to have City Council on the same page in our fight against violence in our city. It's my pleasure to introduce Councilmember Emmanuel Remy, Chair of the Public Safety Committee. Councilmember.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Ginther, and thank you, Chief Bryant, Betsy for being here, Director Clark, and Denzel for hosting. We appreciate the opportunity to reach out to all of you and talk a little bit more about this comprehensive effort that we're collaboratively working towards. It takes all of us. You sitting in the audience, it takes everyone up here on this stage, and certainly takes the commitment of the will of leaders to make the changes. I want to start off by sharing how proud I am to serve all of you as Columbus City Council and the chair of the Public Safety Committee. Columbus is a great city filled with limitless opportunities. Because of these opportunities, we have welcomed new residents from across the nation and around the world. We are growing by the day, which is amazing. Because of this growth, we have to operate like our larger city partners around the country and think more strategically and proactively about public safety. My colleagues and I are committed to working with residents, community leaders, nonprofit organizations, and partners around the nation to create a safer, healthier Columbus. I want to highlight some of the items we have been working on recently. Just last month, Council approved $500,000 to administer the Business District Safety Enhancement Program. Through this program, the Department of Public Safety will work in conjunction with the Division of Police and neighborhood business groups, the Short North Alliance, and Columbus Downtown Development Corporation to develop plans to appropriately deter crime and improve safety in Columbus's business districts. In addition, we allocated over $1 million to strengthen the neighborhood safety camera program. The additional capacity allows for new safety cameras to be installed in various Columbus neighborhoods in Columbus, including the Short North and downtown areas, while also replacing cameras that reach the end of their useful life. These new and replacement cameras are part of an effort to bring the neighborhood safety program back to its maximum operating capacity and expand to needed areas. On April 18th of this year, Council approved funding for 3 full-time positions in the Public Safety Director's Office to expand group violence intervention initiatives. We also understand that we cannot do this alone. We have an ongoing commitment to maximize resources and minimize violent crimes in our city. That is why we entered into contract with the Research Foundation of the City University of New York on behalf of criminologist David Kennedy and the National Network for Safe Communities at John Jay College to assist the city in serious violence crime prevention. Mr. Kennedy is among the nation's most respected consultants in the field of modern policing and violence intervention, and we are looking forward to continuing our work with him in the Columbus community. It is no secret we have seen an uptick in violence and other challenging activities throughout the Short North recently, especially at night. Some of these challenges occur because of loitering near mobile food vendor locations. Over the next couple of months, the city will be reviewing the legislation that the mayor sends forth, and we will be working to come up with a comprehensive plan to make sure that the violence is ended around these mobile food vending operations. I applaud the Department of Public Safety for holding multiple opportunities to go out and talk with these vendors, issue citations when necessary, and to let them know that we are watching what they're doing in the community. It is our goal to improve public safety by improving oversight of the locations of the mobile food vendors and the hours in which they operate. And finally, the noise code. My colleagues and I will be working comprehensively with the community to make sure that every resident is allowed to enjoy the quiet and peaceful tranquility in their home, and that residents throughout dense populated areas like the Short North and downtown can live in a peaceful manner. And so we are excited to take up the legislation, hold public hearings, have a discussion with the community, and make sure that we all are allowed to live peacefully in the city of Columbus and thrive. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Director of Public Safety, Director Clark.
Thank you, Council Member. It is my honor today to stand in this milestone, this cornerstone of the community that represents diversity, equity, and inclusion, and share this with you. As you have heard me share many times, our overall public safety strategy is collaborative and multifaceted. Currently, a few strategies have been developed and implemented in our parks, our neighborhoods, our entertainment districts, and every corner of our community. As an example, it has been nearly a month where we delivered 25 security cameras that were deployed in our parks across the city to monitor activity and ensure our residents' safety. Additionally, industrial lighting has arrived and will soon be added to several parks around the city. These measures were added on top of increased police patrols on foot, on bikes, some in uniform, and some in plain clothes. And we are happy to report that no major incidents in our parks have happened since these additional measures were implemented. The mayor just spoke about proposed changes in our citywide mobile food vending. This change is an additional measure and will focus on ensuring safety and helping officers work high-traffic entertainment areas like the Short North and the University District. We heard concerns of residents and began working months ago to examine the issue of crowds of intoxicated people who are congregating after hours, engaging in disruptive and sometimes violent behavior. Public Safety's licensing section worked with neighbors, police, fire, public health, and the city's attorney's office to craft recommendations we believe will improve overall safety. We have already witnessed and have already enjoyed and will continue to enjoy our summer festival season here in Columbus. I am proud to report that our major festivals so far, Arts Fest, Pride, Red, White, and Boom, have been very well attended and very safe. The safety of our summer events has not happened by accident. I want to publicly thank Chief Bryant and Chief Happ and all of the women and men who work for the Department of Public Safety and our emergency communications, who with a great deal of sacrifice, planning, coordination, and hard work continue to keep our city safe and serve our residents well. We expect the same this weekend for Jazz and Rib Fest, and I look forward to seeing everyone there. Lastly, we can't do any of this without you, your support, your partnership, and your daily encouragement and engagement with our officers to make sure that we keep our city safe. I now invite Chief Bryant to the podium, who will share some additional details with you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As the summer continues, we are proactively working to combat crime in our city. These efforts are producing results we are very proud of. Our efforts have led to getting violent criminals, illegal guns, and drugs out of our neighborhoods. Year to date, there have been 76 homicides. This time last year, there were 116. This is a reduction of about 35%. Our detectives have closed a total of 56 cases this year, 42 from this year and 14 from previous years. Our detectives continue to work tirelessly each and every day to bring closure to the victims and their families. While I am thankful for the work, we cannot do it alone. I would also like to thank the countless members of the community who have stepped up and provided our detectives with the information necessary to close these cases. Let it be known, if you commit a homicide in our city, we along with the community will not rest until our victims get justice. I would also like to highlight some of the proactive policing efforts we have initiated to tackle the violent crime occurring in our city. These efforts have led to removing more than 1,900 firearms this year alone off the streets of the city of Columbus. Directed patrols and the Safe Streets program have placed officers in high crime areas throughout the city for the past 7 weeks. These officers have made 113 felony arrests and recovered 54 firearms. They've also seized over 2,500 grams of illegal narcotics off of the streets. In addition to these enforcement numbers, the officers have attended over 60 community meetings and events. which allowed them to hear directly from residents within each neighborhood and partner with them to tackle their areas of concern. Through efforts of Operation Moonlight, our officers have engaged in over 25,000 positive contacts with our residents. We firmly believe this operation has been successful, as we've seen a significant decrease in the amount of crime committed in the parks and the surrounding areas. Most recently, we launched Operation Turn Up the Heat, which focused specifically on locating violent wanted felons. Violent crimes. So far, this operation resulted in 70 felony arrests and 8 firearms recovered. The community stepped up to help in this effort by calling Crime Stoppers or commenting on our social media with information that led to the arrest of these wanted felons. The operation will continue through our social media in the weeks to come. We've held 4 Operation Unities in the past year and plan to execute more very, very soon. In those 4 operations, we've made a combination of 82 felony arrests and recovered 49 illegal firearms. We've also heard from our residents regarding quality of life issues. To address these concerns, we've executed 2 Wheels Down operations, which crack down on illegal and dangerous dirt bikes and ATVs in our neighborhoods. These operations resulted in 33 people being arrested or summoned and 23 ATVs and dirt bikes being impounded. I want to make it clear, while we have some success throughout this year, our work does not and will not stop. We will continue to work tirelessly to ensure the safety of our residents, and we are grateful for our many partnerships we have developed within our community in efforts to make Columbus a safer place to live, work, and play. Thank you. Oh, I'm going to ask now that Betsy Pandora come to the stage. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much, Mayor Ginther, Chief Bryant, Director Clark, and Councilmember Remy, along with the hundreds and hundreds of public servants, officers, and leaders working tirelessly to support safety, as you have heard, across the entire city of Columbus. And thank you for inviting me here today to share the perspectives of the Short North community and to provide an update on some of our collaborative work with the City of Columbus on safety partnerships. As an organization, the Short North Alliance helps to provide programs, services, and supports to the vibrant community of over 300 predominantly small businesses, the nearly 10,000 workers that they employ, the thousands of residents that call the Short North home, and the millions of annual visitors who come to the Short North every single year and who deeply love this community. I want to start by acknowledging the tragic loss of life that occurred in the Short North on Wednesday morning. This is the first death from gun violence in the Short North this summer, and hopefully the last. This shooting, and any shooting, is one shooting too many. But the loss of life to senseless gun violence is unthinkable. I, like many of you, woke up Wednesday morning with questions about the safety of our community. And looking at data and trends, the overall numbers of crimes committed in the Short North thus far for this summer are consistent with historic trends. The big difference is the frequency with which guns are involved in these crimes. Gun violence is a pervasive epidemic, one that requires action and collaboration from all of us who are invested in making our city and its neighborhoods safe places to live, work, and play. The Short North Alliance strongly opposes violence of any kind and believes that gun violence is a public health crisis. We remain deeply committed to playing an active role in safety and violence intervention initiatives alongside our city leaders, our health officials, and other community organizations. With funding from the City of Columbus and our own private business community, we've implemented 3 key initiatives this summer, with a 4th due to start later at the end of the summer. We've expanded our Short North Crime Interdiction program, we've been addressing pedestrian safety through a rideshare pilot, and we've implemented the Short North Good Neighbor Pledge program, and we'll be offering regular engagement with trained social workers in the community. I want to briefly share some key highlights and talk about what's next. First, the Short North Crime Interdiction Program provides dedicated police officers who patrol the streets during high traffic times. They're here to help prevent violent crime and participate in the enforcement of safety issues such as reckless vehicle operations and other code violations. Since March, that team has recovered 14 firearms, made 18 arrests, and engaged in over 180 safety incident interventions. Last week, we launched a rideshare pilot that runs from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. nightly in partnership with Uber and Lyft and the Central Ohio Transit Authority, where someone can request a ride within a geofenced area to be safe. While it's been in place for a week, during that first week in these pilot zones, the district experienced significantly fewer pedestrian safety incidents compared to previous weekends in these areas. More than 100 businesses in the Short North have adopted the Short North Good Neighbor Pledge to support safety and inclusion efforts, as well as to adhere to safe operating requirements. We are appreciative of their support and collaboration across our community and their commitment to being a good neighbor. And lastly, we look forward to partnerships to bring trained social workers to our community to help provide support to individuals who are experiencing a crisis, homelessness, and more. But we know that there is more work to do, and we alone cannot do it all. It is bigger than the Short North, and that is why we are so heartened to hear today's announcements from our city leaders. We continue to participate in critical conversations with city officials, stakeholders, residents, and visitors about safety, and we will implement additional solutions focused on reducing violence. We will continue to provide resources available through our website, including information on the latest safety programs and initiatives to reduce violence. And we will relentlessly continue to engage in deep discussions and seek actions around public policies to support the safety of all in our community. Thank you so much for being here. And now I'd like to bring up Lillian to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Lillian Fetzelanga. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I have a 4-, 5-, and 8-year-old that are causing trouble over there. And we live in Westgate. I love my neighborhood so much. The main reason I love it is because we're so close to the rec center and for the parks. Our days are spent going from one class to another. We go to clay class, acting class, tennis class. We really do it all. To be honest, Columbus Parks and Recs programs are what keep us in Columbus all the time. It's truly a part of our daily lives. I do not know what we would do without those resources. I feel a strong sense of community when we're at the parks. Every time you go, people look out for you, and it's a really good feeling. I see Columbus police officers on bikes, in cruisers, I see the cameras all over, and it's a reminder that somebody there does have our backs. I'm grateful for our city leaders and the work that's gone into keeping all of our residents safe. I'm proud to call Columbus my home, and we look forward to enjoying our city for years to come. Thank you. And I'd like to call Job up to, thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate this time in y'all's ears. I'm here with great news also. I'm recently a recipient and run the Heart of Job Foundation through the MBK program, which was a summer initiative that the mayor put together to be able to help bring down some of the violence and teen activity this summer. With that, we have decided to, start a new program around showing youth how to create career pathways through video and music production. I myself am born and raised in Linden. Was a foster kid and in children's services, and I recently had to move to Los Angeles, California for 10 years to try and achieve my dreams. I came back to Columbus to be able to help build up youth that grew up in the same way that I did. And over the summer, I am here to be able to give news that we have successfully completed the program. As of tomorrow, our students have started to realize career pathways. Through this program, we are now giving them, cameras and music equipment instead of guns and nowhere to go. Through that time, we have spent multiple hours talking about goals, motivation, pathways and careers, ways to get to college, management, business aspirations, entrepreneurship, and I'm so thankful to be able to be around these youth and talk about, their dreams and their goals and learn from their perspective, what it is that they care about. And then that effort, I've been able to learn, 20 new youth that I'll be able to help mentor and guide as long as they allow me to, until they become parents and be able to come in this position, hopefully one day. As I'm moving forward, I would like to also say and thank you very much for, allowing the extra effort, because sometimes you don't get somebody that really cares about what's going on in the neighborhoods and know that, there's a certain age group and age gap. We were specific to 14 to 19 years old, where a lot of the violence is coming from, and I was really happy to be able to have the funding to be able to help them realize their dreams. They were able to eat good food, we had transportation, we went on field trips to film and production studios, music studios, and they were able to actually see with hands-on, ways that they can be able to change their own lives. Not everyone comes from good backgrounds, and some even come from good backgrounds don't always listen to their parents. And we're also there as an advocate to be able to help bridge those gaps. And we also had a couple that, was on probation, for committing crimes ahead of time and before they were able to come to us. And over that time, they have been able to say, I have got a chance to see a way that I can stop myself from being in trouble as I'm moving forward. So along this path and along this time, I would like to say, I appreciate the opportunity, and I think that programs like this should be able to keep going and be able to have other opportunities and more nonprofits that can continue to engage and be an intervention for those preventions before violence happens. So me standing here in front of you guys and thanking you for this time, and the mayor, thank you again, public safety, the chief of police, and in your efforts, we're here to also help assist and bring them with positive energy so they don't have to necessarily always get in trouble. And it's a good thing because we actually show them that it's not, always a bad thing. The police is definitely here to help us. Public safety is there not to just keep you in a box. The mayor isn't somebody that doesn't care about you. The Department of Neighborhoods isn't just sitting there not trying to actually help create these opportunities. So I appreciate you guys so much for your time and allowing me to come and speak on behalf of MBK program and my youth, and keep doing a good job, and thank you for the opportunity.
Joe, it's so great to be with you. We met for the first time, I think about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at a Linden Area Commission meeting, and just so grateful for you stepping up and so many others in the community to help our young people. I again want to acknowledge our officers and the public for stepping up and banding together to hold the perpetrators of violent crime and public nuisances accountable for their actions. I also want to thank our many partners, including Columbus City Council, the City Attorney's Office, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, our neighboring jurisdictions, federal law enforcement, and so many others, for devoting their resources and expertise to this collaborative undertaking. U.S. Attorney Parker recently confirmed head of firearms of the ATF, Steve Dettelbach. So excited that we're going to have a federal partner in place to help us continue to reduce gun violence. My message to the community is simple. If you see something, say something. Your work is paying off. We're seeing tangible results, and we need your help in making this the safest big city in America. We know we're not there yet, but together we'll realize that vision. The challenges before us are significant. There is no denying that. But by working together, we will make a meaningful difference, and we will lead the nation in how a city of our size can do what needs to be done to overcome these barriers and bypass whatever roadblocks the state or others place squarely in our path. We will not rest until we're the safest big city in America. We know we're not there yet, but based on the statistics and data from the director and the chief, because of the incredible work of our officers, our continued investments, historic investments into new classes of police officers, restoring the reserve and auxiliary unit, lateral transfers, in addition to investments in community comprehensive safety strategies. We believe we will realize that vision together. Be happy to take any questions from the press.
Yeah, you said you're not there yet. When do you hope to be there? When do you hope to not have to have another press conference talking about the violence and what's going on? I mean,
we're going to continue talking about this regardless. This is our number one priority as a city, public safety. And so we're going to continue to talk about what we're doing, what's working, what's not working, what we're trying differently based on data and evidence. One of the things the chief is going to be sharing here in the coming months is a reorganization of our department. We haven't really redeployed and looked at reorganization of our services for about 10 years. A lot has changed in 10 years. We want to make sure we have the right officers at the right time in the right places around the community, in addition to all the other investments and changes that we're making. We're going to continue to talk about this because this is our number one priority, public safety. And my goal is for us to continue to make significant progress. I would love to see a 35% reduction in violence every year in this city until we do realize that goal of being the safest big city in America. But it's going to take all of us. And it's going to take investments in young people. It's going to take intervention, prevention, and ultimately investment in law enforcement as well.
What do you have to say to some of those people who maybe are now nervous to come down, visit, eat, drink, shop in the Short North after we've had several shootings and now a homicide in the entertainment district?
Well, I would encourage them to, as Betsy said, those things can be scary, they can be intimidating, but when you look at the facts, when you look at the evidence, this is a very safe place. And we're going to do everything in our power to continue to invest in partnerships, having uniform officers, private security, others working together. I'll let Betsy speak a little bit more to what she thinks is an important message from the members of the Alliance. But it's a place that me and my family come to, as well as other neighborhoods throughout our city. And we think that the partnership between police, our public safety department, and private entities is what makes it so safe. Betsy, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you so much, Mayor Ginther. And as the mayor said, the Short North really is an incredibly safe place that's so important to so many people. It is a wonderful, a vibrant community, and what we've been experiencing in a small way is in no way indicative of the entire experience that you have when you come to the Short North.
Councilmember Remy, you announced some funding for neighborhoods like the Short North to do some violence prevention. Can you go into some of the specifics of what some of that funding will be used for?
Well, we've worked closely with the Short North Alliance and downtown, this association downtown, and let them help design and implement in ways that they feel would be most effective, working with the Division of Police, working with their security, working with their businesses who are also committing to, in this effort, to try to protect our business districts. And so we have worked to provide the funding and kind of let them design to their own specifications what they need, because we know that not everybody's the same. Downtown doesn't operate exactly like Short North, and certainly up in the University District, those types of things. So, Betsy, do you want to speak any more to that? I mean, it kind of talks about the Good Neighbor pledge, and there, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, as I shared, so we've been collaborating with the City of Columbus and the Division of Police on leading the Short North Crime Interdiction program. And that program provides special duty officers working at key times when we've experienced violent crimes in the Short North to help serve as a prevention tactic. And they've had incredible success. As I shared, they've had 180 incidents just since March that they've been active. Last year, when we piloted that program, their work resulted in a 100% reduction in all violent crime involving a gun and a reduction in total violent crimes. So we think it's effective, but ultimately something like that is meaningful in the context of how we serve all the time. So it is so wonderful to hear the mayor allude to the announcement of a reorganization of some of the police resources and the way in which our police officers serve our community. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that visit the Short North on a nightly basis. And we're a different area of the city than we were 10 years ago. And so seeing those resources distributed in a way that is responsive to the needs of the community is meaningful and necessary.
It needs to happen, given the fact we're sitting here just 36 hours after a homicide has happened. We have talked about several shootings in the Short North District in the last month or two.
Yeah, it's so important for these efforts to continue. And just because there's been successes in some efforts does not mean that we should stop. So I think it's important for us to continue the things that we're doing, and important for us to continue together in partnership and dialogue, just as the safety director said, to examine new, innovative, and different approaches together in collaboration with our community.
The only thing I guess I would add is, as you know, Lacey, we've been in neighborhoods throughout this city. And this neighborhood is just as important, but no more important than any other neighborhood. And we're going to continue to invest in resources, prevention, intervention, and enforcement in neighborhoods throughout our city. Yes, Steve.
Programs were specifically just for the summer. Any plans to expand them into the fall and beyond?
You know, we'll work with our director, Carla Williams-Scott, the Department of Neighborhoods. We think we can play a bigger role in after school. And I think that's something that we will continue to look at. Probably look at which organizations and programs had the biggest impact this summer and last summer, and probably focus on them. And maybe target particularly one of the hardest to serve groups. Joe spoke to this, is, you know, those pre-adolescents and teenagers. I think it's critically important that we have great programming that meets kids where they are. Our kids have faced a disproportionate negative impact and fallout from COVID. And so we got to make sure that whatever we're offering is relevant and is successful. Thanks, everybody. We'll stick around for any one-on-ones.